Hi, David again, and I wanted to share with you those that have not had the opportunity to be a Mormon. That's like, can you stand in line to be a prisoner of war? I want in Auschwitz. Jesus. Anyway, I'm going to share with you. I keep coming up with these things because I was there for 50 years, a half a century. And I never thought anything of these phrases and words. I thought everybody knew these phrases and these words and what they meant. And they don't. You have no idea what that cult does with words. Let me give you a few new Mormon words. Our test and text for the day. Okay, you'll hear all the time in the Mormon church that someone has keys to the kingdom. Now, these are like car keys that you put in the ignition. Keys to the kingdom. And that's said quite often. In the Mormon church, that is said quite often, that someone has the keys. Well, the main key holder, this reminds me of the Ghostbusters. Remember Gozer, who was the key maker, the president of the keys or something? Anyway. The Mormon prophet is said by the Mormon people to have all the keys to the kingdom. So he can go anywhere, he can do anything, open any door, and that he is the only one on the face of the earth that has the keys and the powers, all the keys and powers of the priesthood. That's part of your temple interview question. Do you believe that President Monson is a prophet of the Lord and the only man on the face of the earth that has the keys to the Learjet? No, not the Learjet. No, Huntsmans have nothing to do with this. It's not the Learjet keys. Anyway, you say yes. You bow your head and say yes, and you get a temple recommend, and then you can pay your 10% to get in the temple. Well, that concept of the keys has now spilled down into the Mormon church. Kind of like, well, I'm not going to go there because I'm not political. Anyway, now if you are in a ward and the bishop is the bishop of the ward, of course, he has the keys to being the bishop. Now, here's the Mormon philosophy. Here's one thing that you don't know about the Mormons. Mormons have no choice of going to different Mormon churches. No, if you're a Catholic, you can go to any Catholic church you want. You can go to any diocese. You can go Lutheran, Baptist, anywhere you got. If you're a Mormon, they will tell you where to go. And if you don't go there, there are many ramifications. You will not get a temple recommend because that bishop doesn't have the authority to give you a recommend in another ward. And they don't want you dating or finding other Mormons to associate with. You go to your ward and your stake, and that is determined by boundaries, like real estate boundaries, and the church has committees that divide up the wards, and usually there's 7 to 9 wards in every stake. So you can't go to a different ward in your stake. You can't go to a different stake. The truth is you can't do shit in the Mormon church without some authority telling you, take your clothes off, wear our underwear, eat what we tell you to eat with the word of wisdom, say what we tell you to say, your outside clothes have to look a certain way, a certain haircut, no beards, and no tattoos. In other words, you don't own shit. You don't own your mind, you don't own your finances, you don't own your own damn body. So if you want to go to another ward, screw you. You are now evil. Satan has got a hold of your heart. All the girls in your ward are ugly. You want to go over and test some of the other wards and see if you can find somebody that you're attracted to. Can't do that in the Mormon church. So the keys to the kingdom now has spilled down at the local level. The stake president has the keys to his stake. And the bishop has a key to his ward. And the philosophy is very militaristic, if I say that word right, following the military. Militaristic, yeah. You basically march to another drummer. And I don't think it's the little drummer. I think it's the big 10% drummer. You will basically go where they tell you to go, and the geographical lines of your ward, you may be stuck in with a bunch of old people like me. You're 23 years old, have a cute little wife and 2 kids, and you're the primary. 2 kids. It's possible. They try to spread that a little bit so that doesn't happen. But wards do have their own personality, and you may not like that ward, and the bishop may be a real asshole to you, and you don't want to be around that person. Well, the Mormon church forces you, and if you don't like the bishop, that's your problem because you don't have enough faith. The Lord has called him to that position. So when I was in the elders quorum presidency, the keys went down even further. I was in the elders quorum presidency in California, and I was one of the counselors, and the president. I'm not going to say his name because I might get sued. But anyway, Bill said when we got into priesthood classes and priesthood meetings among the presidency, sometimes I had a different idea. That's just the human I am. I look at things and I go, well, it looks to me like it's this way or this way. Well, Bill was one of the typical Mormons. He had the keys. And he jammed them in my eyes and turned them until I saw things his way. Well, there's the keys to the kingdom. So if you hear the Mormons talking about, you won't. It's secret kind. Well, I'm not going to say it's secret. That's an exaggeration. It's not secret, but it's kind of under the table. You don't hear a lot about that unless you're a Mormon. And if you're stepping to the wrong drummer, they'll tell you, you know, this stake president has the keys to the stake and you're in his stake, so you'll do things his way. Okay, so now you know about the keys to the kingdom. Now, let me tell you another one. What you do here, well, probably as much as the keys, it's called the mantle. The mantle of the priesthood. Now, this one, do you know what a fireplace looks like? And it has a mantle on it. In construction, we used to call that a header over a door so that, you know, the roof would be supported properly. Well, the Mormons believe in the mantle of the priesthood. So I think, now, there's no definitions for these things. There's different ideas and different people in different wards, but the concepts are the same. The mantle holds up something. I guess if you're a bishop, the mantle of the priesthood to you is holding the ward up like a fireplace. And if you're the elders quorum president, you wear the mantle. Well, even if you're a deacon, you have a little mantle. I don't know what it's holding up, but I don't know. Your tie, maybe. You know, the mantle of the priesthood. So when people want to exaggerate, these words are used to exaggerate testimony meetings and lessons that are boring. So the teacher will come up with some of these that are supposed to trigger you and make you think, boy, this is coming from the Lord, and I better wake up. So when you're given the priesthood, you are carrying a mantle of the priesthood. So you kind of go like this, and as you get further and further in the priesthood, the mantle becomes higher and higher. So if you're Monson, you have the big mantle. He's the big boy. He has the Learjet. You've got the little Volkswagen, or you're walking, or you have a handcart. I don't know. Now, there's 2 phrases that you've never heard before if you're not a Mormon. And if you are a Mormon, you go, wow, the guy is right. I never thought about it that way. Now, let me give you the third one because I can't remember here. Oh, here's one. You know, when I was a kid, I was fascinated with a magnifying glass. To me, it was one of the most interesting instruments I had ever seen. And I used to put it on the grass in the sun and make the grass, you know, smoke. And I was, boy, that's powerful. Well, in the Mormon church, they have a phrase. It's called magnifying your calling. Well, your calling is the job they give you. It is the, you don't ask for the job. My prop, I'm going to get my money's worth. For $1, I'm going to wave this at least in 100 videos. So it's 1 cent a video. So basically, when they call you to a position, number 1, you're not supposed to refuse that position. God himself, through the bishop, stake president, Relief Society president, has called you to be the janitor. Jesus looked down and said, all the people on the earth I see, make David the janitor. So they'll come to you and they'll say, Brother David, would you mind coming in my office? We need to chat for a moment. That's another one of their favorite phrases. Chat, C-H-A-T. Well, chat means we're going to screw you and you're going to bow your head and say yes. Come on in and let's go ahead through the procedure, the due process. So you go into the office of whoever's calling you and they say, you are the janitor, or you're the Relief Society teacher, or you're the young women's teacher. They'll tell you what you're going to do. And it is well substantiated that that is Jesus talking to you. Jesus wants you basically to do that job, and they Jesus has gotten you the message from heaven and given it to your bishop. So if you say no, you're dog shit. You could lose a temple recommend. Could, not always, but you could lose a temple recommend by not sustaining. There's another word. I should throw that one in, sustaining. Jeez. I never thought of this crap, okay? Twice a year they have, and I'm getting off subject, and I don't care. There is no subject. It's just comedy. Every year they have a conference. And in the conferences, part of the business of the conference, it's another one that goes through my head. They'll say, we have some official church business. We want to read the name of the accounting company who has gone through all the records of the church and has verified that everything is in order. So they'll read you this CPA firm, maybe 2 or 3 of them. Well, if you go look at them on the damn computer, they're LDS. It's Dracula guarding the blood bank. So the Mormons just sit there in conference and shake their heads, and they'll say, okay, all of these firms now have confirmed the money is in order. In other words, we're not stealing a cent like Groucho. You're way too old to know about Groucho Marx. So anyway, they'll say to the members of the church, all those who can sustain us in this, do so by the raising of the right hand. So all the Mormons do this. Now, you're used to doing this in the temple, so, you're already trained. Your hand's on a string, and your head's on a string to bow and say, yeah. So you sustain, okay? And then the guy at the podium, he's very official, and he looks over a 30,000 member audience, or 10,000, whatever it happens to be, and he goes, President, who he's speaking to the Monson behind him, it appears that the vote is unanimous. What a surprise! At 50 years, the vote was always unanimous. Now, they say you're not voting, but they say that to the president. It appears that the voting is unanimous. Well, it's not. It's sustaining. Now, be careful. These are the Mormon tricks. The tricks, it's like a juggling act, okay? They're saying, we are going to say some things up here, and we want you to agree with us and give us a mandate, authority to continue. So when you sustain the prophets, seers, and revelators, the next guy will get up and he'll say, I have a list of the prophets, seers, and revelators. And he'll say, these are all old guys that are basically dementia and basically don't know their ass from their elbow, but we want you to give us permission to call them prophet, seers, and revelators. They never have prophecies. They've never had seers. And revelators they're not, because Joseph Smith's peepstone has never been found. So they'll read these guys' names off, and you're sitting there bored, because you never heard of any of these old geezers. And then suddenly, all those that are in favor, please signify by the raise of the right hand. Any opposed by the same sign. Well, if you do one of these, security will have you faster than a fly swatter, and you're out of the conference center or the tabernacle. You do not disagree with the Mormons' leaders. They say, well, I told you, watch their mouth, but watch what they do. That's the trick of learning the Mormon church. Observation, not audio input. So, and all of the times I've been in a ward, and you sustain the bishop, you sustain the the stake president, and you sustain new people being presidents in the quorum, the elders' quorum, the high priest quorum. You sustain all damn day long in the Mormon church. Well, you're not voting, because if you don't sustain, what's supposed to happen is the vote is supposed, or sustaining is supposed to go on hold, and they take you out of the room and say, why are you against this person being a bishop? And if you have a good reason, then they'll call somebody else to be a bishop. That's the way it used to be in the old days. Today, they just have a guillotine. If you go, I'm opposed, the guillotine will just come and cut your head off, and it'll roll down by the sacrament table to be an example to others. You sustain. God himself has called these people, and you're an apostate. You do not believe that God called them. So there's the sustaining part of the Mormon trickery. Now let me get back just in closing here to the magnifying your calling. Well, we all know what a magnifying glass is, and somewhere in the Mormon church, I don't know, I've never seen it written, I've never seen in manuals you'll see it written, but it's not in the scriptures that I've seen, that you're to magnify your calling. Well, your calling could be the janitor, okay? Now, I don't know how you polish a toilet better than anyone else. I don't know if you go in 5 days a week or every 5 hours and clean the toilet. Is that magnifying your calling? I don't know. I've done some toilet cleaning here in the house, and when you get 14 kids, you know what I'm saying. So there's this saying in the Mormon church that whatever calling you have to magnify it. Don't just do the job. Do the job better than anyone else has ever done it at any time. No pressure here. No pressure here. No cult here. It's impossible. It's impossible. You may be following a guy that lives in the bathroom, and every time someone goes in, he polishes the toilet. What are you going to do? Have 2 hands in the toilet and magnify it more than he did? But it is a cult tactic that you are to magnify your calling. And I just want to quickly then summarize. What I'm saying is there's some phrases and there's some tricks, okay? One of them is magnify your calling. That is a guilt trip right from the beginning. Okay, the other is the mantle. You're carrying the weight of the world. That's why you can't have light-mindedness, loud laughter. You're under such heavy scrutiny to be responsible for everything that goes wrong, and when it goes wrong, your head rolls, and it's no one else's fault. There you are carrying the mantle. And then the other one is, it's like your car keys. If you lose your car keys, you're excommunicated in the Mormon church, okay? You have the keys to the kingdom. Monson has the big key ring, and then it goes down smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And when the little men in the ward can't get cooperation from the members, they'll pull you in the office and go, now, the bishop has the keys to this ward, and he's asked you to be the janitor. And he is inspired by the Lord Jesus Christ. You want to be the janitor and follow in the temple you said that you would sustain. All right, I'll be the janitor. You bow your head and you say yes. So there's some more secret stuff that goes on in the Mormon church. I'm still kind of deprogramming from a cult. So a lot of these things are locked in the back of my mind that don't come out to a level that I can remember them and understand them. But as I'm beginning to more and more relax and realize there's some of you out there that look at me, maybe you just click on it and click off, I don't know, and I don't care. But it makes me feel better that I can talk about some of these things now. And I didn't magnify my callings, and I didn't have much of a mantle. I was just a little person. And, the keys I had were car keys. I didn't have any spiritual keys to the kingdom. So that's probably why I'm not there anymore. So be careful. Listen to their words, but don't put any weight into them. Watch. Observe the Mormons, and then make your decisions. If you like to be like that, Good grief, go call the Mormon missionaries. Get your checkbook out and get ready to be baptized and pay your 10% of your gross income for the rest of your life. Build the Jesus Mall and be part of this group. If that floats your boat, for heaven's sakes, who am I to say what makes you happy? It didn't make me happy. I got out of it. I resigned. They didn't excommunicate. I never did anything to be excommunicated for. I still don't. But I've read their doctrine, their policies, and their procedures, and the way they treat people and each other. I don't want my name on it. I don't want my name on it. So, you make your own mind up, and you make up the study. Take a look at what the Mormons say, Mormon.org, Mormon.org. See? Do they give me any advertisement? No, they don't give me any advertisement, but I give it to them on almost every video because nothing speaks louder than fools. I can see a fool a mile away. I can see someone who's impressionable. I can see someone that's uneducated. I can see somebody who's desperate and in a transition of life, and they're happy campers. Great, great. Baptize yourselves. Get over there. Join that organization. I left it, and I hope you can see why. Thanks.